All right, hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to be talking about alcohols and ether. So we'll talk about the ether later on, but in this video, we'll talk about the alcohols, okay? So guys, alcohols, as we know, they're a special functional group. How do you recognize them? You will see that you will have a hydrocarbon chain and on one side, and you will have the OH on it. So this OH is what makes alcohol an alcohol. The OH is by itself called hydroxyl. So whenever we see this hydroxyl group attached to a carbon chain as the main functional group, then you call that a molecule an alcohol, okay? So what we'll do is we'll take some examples and see if we can learn their nomenclature, okay? So to get started, let's draw a simple structure where we have, you see, an OH group attached to a carbon chain, okay? Now, what I see here is so this point right here is the oxygen. So this is the first carbon. This is the carbon to which this OH is attached, right? So if I have to number the carbon chain, should I number this from left and count it as 1, 2, and 3? Or should I count it from the right and count this as 1, 2, and 3? So guys, again, by now you should have an idea that if I'm seeing a functional group, then just like how we like to number our substituent, we want to give them the smallest number. Similarly, for the functional groups as well, we want to give them the smallest number. So we'll number this chain as 1, 2, and 3, okay? So with that, what do you see is I see 3 carbons with the alcohol. So I see propane. Propane is telling me that I have 3 carbons and they're all single bonded. And then I see that it's an alcohol. Now for alcohol, guys, what is the suffix that we use for alcohol? So the suffix we use for alcohol is OL. So remember that the alcohol name ends with OL. So the suffix we're going to use at the end of this molecule is going to be OL. So we call this guy propanol. And so propanol is telling me that I have a 3 carbon chain and I have alcohol as a functional group. And to be very clear here, we can say that the alcohol is on position number 1. So we call this 1-propanol, okay? So that's one way to name this. There's another way to name this, and we've learned this for alkenes as well. You can actually bring this number in between the root name and the suffix. So we can also call this propane dash 1 dash all, and this is also completely acceptable, okay? So both of these names you guys should be aware of how we have 2 options to name a single molecule, okay? Now, let's do some more examples and see this one here. So we have the OH now, but attached to a carbon which is bonded to other carbons, okay? Now we will be learning more about this later on, guys, but we will see primary, secondary, and tertiary alcohols in this chapter, okay? And so basically what that means is the alcohol, so the OH group, you look at the carbon to which that OH is attached, and based on that, you decide whether you're dealing with a primary, secondary, or tertiary carbon. Okay, so let's see what does that mean. So my focus right now will be on this carbon, the carbon to which the OH is attached. Okay, and then I'm going to ask myself, the carbon to which the OH is attached, that carbon is attached to how many carbons? Okay, so what I can tell from here is that this carbon sitting right here is only bonded to 1 carbon. So guys, those types of alcohols are called primary alcohols. Okay. Now, what about the secondary alcohols? Now, you guys might be able to guess that if a carbon, again, you're focused on the carbon which is bonded to the OH, if this carbon is bonded to 2 more carbons, then this alcohol will be called secondary alcohol. And let's actually keep going just so that we understand this better now. If I'm dealing with a carbon, which is, let me give this back to the color code. So let's say if we had a structure where we had a carbon like this, and then we had the OH sitting here. So what is happening here, guys? What I'm seeing is that the carbon, which is bonded directly to the OH, is bonded to 3 carbons. So guys, this type of alcohol will be called tertiary alcohol. Okay, so I hope it is making sense that what is the difference between primary, secondary, and tertiary alcohol. Primary is when this carbon is only bonded to one carbon. A carbon, when it's bonded to two carbons, is secondary. The carbon, when it's bonded to three carbons, it's tertiary. Guys, think about this. Can you ever have a quaternary alcohol? Would that ever be possible? What do you guys think? You would have thought, would it be possible to have a quaternary alcohol, which will mean a carbon bonded to four carbons? Would that be possible? No, that is not going to be possible, because what we are trying to say then is that the carbon is, which is bonded to the OH, because it is still an alcohol, right? So carbon bonded to the OH is attached to four carbons. Would that be possible? No, right? Because then this carbon has five bonds, which is not possible. So that's why we do not have quaternary alcohols. Okay. All right. So let's go back to our nomenclature. So we were dealing with naming this second molecule. Okay. Okay. Now in this case, guys, again, the rule stays the same. You need to look for the longest chain. The longest chain I see is 3 carbons. So I number this 1, 2, and 3, right? So this is still a propane. So this is still a propanol, right? But then this alcohol is at position number 2. So it's 2-propanol. And of course, you can also call this propane 2-ol, and that is also totally fine. Okay, now let's see, how do you answer this third one? So for the third one, again, how do you solve this problem? So you again want to look for the longest carbon chain. I have 2 carbons here. And if I go this way, then I have 3 carbons. So 3 carbons is the longest chain. So 1, 2, and 3, right, guys? So 3 carbons in the longest chain makes this propane. And propane with the OH sitting on the second carbon. So this is also propane 2-ol. But this guy has this CH3 sitting as a substituent, right? So this is a methyl substituent. So one carbon substituent is called methyl. So now this methyl is sitting on what carbon number? It's sitting on carbon number 2. So this will be 2-methyl propanol, and that propane 2-ol. So that'll be the answer. Or you could have also called this 2-methyl 2-propanol, and that's also totally fine. Okay. Okay, now since these two molecules that are drawn here, they're very common molecules, and they actually have their common name, and I would want you guys to remember that common name. So guys, whenever you see 3 carbons like that propane, where you see the attachment of the functional group is on the second carbon of the propane, guys, that propane is actually called isopropyl. Okay, so this alcohol is also very commonly known as isopropyl alcohol, and I'm pretty sure you've heard or seen this labeled somewhere. So isopropyl alcohol is the same thing as isopropanol or rubbing alcohol. So isopropanol or rubbing alcohol, isopropanol or rubbing alcohol. So guys, these are just some common names for this alcohol. So this is the alcohol which is used in sanitizers, right? Okay. Now, so that was a common name when it comes to 3-carbon chain like the propane, but attachment is on the second carbon. Now, whenever you have 4 carbons like this, and you have the alcohol attached on the second carbon, this is very commonly known as tert-butyl alcohol. Okay, for tertiary, you have seen this before. So this is a tertiary butyl, because you have total 4 carbons, but when you see 4 carbons attached like this, then you call that tertiary butyl as well. That's a common name. So tertiary butyl alcohol is also a name for this molecule. Okay, all right. So now let's continue with some more nomenclature. Okay, all right. So let's do some more examples. So imagine you have a molecule. Let me draw that again. Something like this, where you have a substituent sitting like that. And then you have the OH group sitting here, okay? All right, so now the first thing is you want to look for the longest chain, not just the longest chain, but you also need to look at the numbering. So where is the longest chain? So let's look all the ways, okay? So what I see is, I see 1, So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 carbons. That's what I see. What are the other options? The other options 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's also 7 carbons. Would it be okay to count like that, guys? What do you guys think? So should I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? So should I count like that? Or so counting it like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Counting it like this makes this the parent chain, and it will make this the substituent, right? Actually, let me make it a little longer. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's one option, right? The second option is to go this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 carbons. What is better? Should I count it like this, where I make 8 carbons in the parent chain, but I make OH a substituent? Or should I go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 carbons in the parent chain and have OH as the parent chain? What is the correct way? The correct way is to include the functional group in the main chain, in the parent chain. So this OH cannot be treated as a substituent. It should be the part of the parent chain, okay? So it has to be these 7 carbons. Now, again, remember, to number the parent chain, your functional group should get the smallest number. So at this point, it's quite obvious that we'll have to start from the right-hand side, and this will give us the correct numbering. Okay, so now what do we have? We have OH, which of course is the alcohol. So you have 7 carbons. 7 carbons is called heptane. So this will be heptanol, right? But it's a heptanol at what position? It is a 2-heptanol. Okay, so that takes care of the 7 carbons and the OH. Now what else do we have? What else do I have is I have chlorine as a substituent. I have these 3 carbons as a substituent, and then I have this single carbon as a substituent. What will be the names for all of these substituents? You guys can pause the video here and think about all the names, okay? All right, so now if you got the chance to name this, you have 3 carbons. 3 carbons as a substituent is called propyl. 1 carbon as a substituent is called methyl. And then Cl as a substituent is just called chloro, right? Okay, so now I've got all these substituents. The propyl is sitting on carbon number 3, so this guy will be a 3' propyl. Chloro is sitting on position number 5, so 5' chloro, and methyl is also sitting on number 5, so 5 methyl. Now the point is, what should go first? Should 3 go first, or should 5 go first, or do we go by the alphabetical order? So we go by the alphabetical order, right? So that means that 5 chloro will be at the beginning. So C comes before M or P, and then you will have the M, and then at the end you will have the P, right? So at the very end, we know we'll need the propyl. So let's write that down first. So 3 propyl dash 2 dash heptanol, right? And then before 3 propyl, we'll be putting methyl. So it will be 5 dash methyl dash 3 propyl. And then before the methyl, we know we have to put the chloro. So 5 dash chloro dash 5 methyl 3 propyl 2 heptanol. And that will be the final answer for this. Okay, so I hope that is making sense. Okay, now let's do some more examples, okay? Let's actually work with the examples where we actually have a cyclic structure, okay? So this is a 6-carbon cyclic chain, and it has the OH sitting here. So what would this be called, guys? So this is pretty straightforward. This is, the 6 carbons in a cyclic chain. They're called cyclohexane. And since this is alcohol, this will just become cyclohexanol. Okay, again, there's no need to call this 1 cyclohexanol, because we know for sure that wherever the OH is, that's where the carbon number 1 will be. Okay, so for a simple structure like this, there is no need to number. If there were more substituents, then of course we will number this. Okay, all right. So now actually, let's see where we have something else here. So imagine you have the OH sitting here, but then you have the BR sitting here. Then in that case, what do we do? Okay, so in this case, what are we going to do is, again, we know that this guy is cyclohexanol. So this is cyclohexanol. But then we also want to number this because we have the bromine substituent. So will OH get the one or BR get the one? What do you guys think? The alcohol has the higher priority. So this guy will get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You could have gone the other way as well. It will still give you the same numbering. So guys, bromo is sitting at number 4, and all is sitting at number 1. So you can call this cyclohexane 1-all or just 1 cyclohexanol. And before this, we need to put 4 bromo, right? Because the bromine is sitting at number 4. So 4 bromo, 1 cyclohexanol. Okay, so that will be the answer for that. Okay, now let's actually see what happens if you have a structure where you have 2 OH groups. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so something like this. Now in this structure, what is going on? You have the cyclohexane. That makes sense. This is cyclohexane, but we have 2 OHs. So since you have 2 OHs, you know, again, for OH, the suffix we use is all, but since we have 2 of them, this will be cyclohexane diol because I have 2 alcohols. But then I need to tell you the position for both the alcohols. So if I number this 1, this is 2, then this will be 3. So this is 1, 3 cyclohexane diol. You could have also called this cyclohexane 1,3 diol, and that's also totally fine. Okay. All right. Now, having 2 alcohols like this would also be totally fine if you had a non-cyclic structure, and that's also fine. So let's say there was OH sitting here, and then there was OH sitting here. That is also possible. So in that case, what would you do? Again, counting it from any sides is okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Either way, you get 2 and 4. So if you count from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, same thing, 2 and 4. Okay, so this time I have pentane. So this guy is pentane diol, right? So this is pentane diol, but those diol are at 2 and 4. So 2, 4, pentane diol, or you can just call this pentane dash 2, 4 dash diol, and that's also totally fine. Okay, all right. Now, guys, we want to see the structure where we have, the presence of 2 different halogens and the OH. So let's take a look at that example. Okay, let's take a look at this example now. This is pretty straightforward. So what we see here is you have the OH. So of course, this OH gets the highest priority. So we want to number it to get the smallest possible number. Now, if I count it from the left, it gets 1, 2, and 3. If I count it from the right, it still gets 3. So it should not make any difference, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The OH is getting 3 in both the ways. But then there is another option which you might be thinking of, is that if I have this and the bromine is sitting here, chlorine is sitting here, what will happen if I number it from this side? Then I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So OH is getting 3 on both the examples, but the bromine and chlorine, their numbers are getting switched. In one case, bromine is getting the 2. In the other case, chlorine is getting the 2. So now what is better? Because both are halogens, they have equal priority. But then at this point, when you have to decide, because you have to decide one side, the correct one is where these, you go by the alphabetical order. So by the alphabetical order, the one that comes first should get the smaller number. So we know between bromo and chloro, bromo is the winner alphabetically. So bromo should get the smaller number 2. Okay, I hope that made sense. So the second one is not going to work. So let me get rid of the second one. Okay. All right. You guys can go back and watch the video in case you want to hear that again. Okay. All right. So now how do we name this? We know that at position 2, we have a bromo. At position 4, we have a chloro. And then we have 5 carbons. And then we have the alcohol. So you guys can stop the video here if you want and complete the answer. So you guys can pause it here. Okay, so we have a pentane, right? So 5 carbons pentane, pentane 3-ol, right? Or you could have called this 3-pentanol. That's totally fine. So pentane 3-ol, and then you have bromo and chloro. Who should be written first? Bromo should be written first, and then chloro. So let's write down the chloro here. So chloro is at position number 4. So 4 chloro, like that. And then before this, we're supposed to put bromo. So 2 bromo, 4 chloropentane 3-ol, right? So you could have called it that, or you could have called it 2 bromo, 4 chloro, 3 pentanol. That also would be totally fine. Okay. All right. Now, I wanted to discuss examples similar to what these cyclic structures look like, okay? So you see these cyclic structures do not have double bond, but there are these alcohols which have these cyclic structure like that cyclohexane, but these special molecules, they have alternating double bonds. And we have seen this before. This is called benzene, okay? Benzene, guys, it's a very important organic molecule. It's a highly non-polar solvent, and it is a very stable molecule. So benzene, like this, what you're seeing is, again, cyclohexane, but with alternate double bonds, okay? So this this right here is benzene, okay? Now, on this benzene, you can actually put an OH. So this now on the benzene, if I put the OH, this is a very, very common molecule. This molecule is called phenol, and you want to remember that name, okay? So what you're seeing at is you're looking at the hydroxy, which has been added onto the benzene. So, and this molecule is now called phenol, okay? So the benzene is an aromatic ring. So remember that as well. Okay. So aromatic ring. So this is aromatic ring structure. Okay. All right. And phenol is a version of a benzene. You can think like that. Okay. Now, this phenol, you see, could have attachments on it. So if you have attachments on phenol, then you're going to name them accordingly. Okay. So again, imagine you have the OH making it phenol, and then imagine there's a bromine sitting here. Then what would you call this? So we know that again, the priority will go to phenol, to the OH. So that's how you should be numbering this. So we know this is phenol, right? But phenol with the bromine on position number 2. So call this 2-bromophenol, and that should be it. That should be the final name for this. Okay, so that is it for the alcohols nomenclature. We'll see you guys in the next video.